what is the tipping culture here in Canada? Because in Asia, especially in the Philippines, we don't do tips.
Tipping's very important. It's a way to show appreciation for the service that you're provided.
But if you don't do tip here in Canada,
That's rude. It's like saying the service was bad. They work really hard for their tips. A lot of places, a lot of people.
okay.
Right?
Why?
And it's not just them. Like if the food was really good, right? You can tip to the kitchen to be like a thank you, an extra special thank you. It's like going above and beyond.
Why do we need to tip?
Because they work hard for their money.
But aren't they already getting their salary for doing that?
Yeah, it's like fuck all. It's minimum wage. Which
Yeah.
puts you below the poverty line.
Everybody does minimum wage.
All
They don't get
service
tips?
position and food, yeah. If they don't get tips, right?
Okay. How much do you have to tip?
I like to tip 20% as a minimum, and then from there I go up.
20% is minimum?
As a minimum, yes.
Why not 15?
Because it's insulting. Anything less than 20% is an insult.
Okay.
It's rude.
That's
Okay.
why I let him do the pay, or like do the machine, the tipping, because I just can't do it myself.
She'll
can't hit
tip like
20%.
5%.
I
Right?
can't hit 20%, so I just let him do it.
Also, like on really small purchases, like so if I'm getting a coffee and like an actual person has to make the coffee like from scratch or something, and the coffee's like $1, say, and then the tip of 20% will be like what? Like 20 cents? That's kind of insulting, so I'll just add $1.
So, where do you tip? So when you go to the restaurant, in fine dining restaurant, you tip. But you can fast food.
No.
Why not?
Generally because it's an in and out kind of thing. Right? So it's not really where they have to work for it, you know. There's no extra to it, you know. Like for example, for a fast food restaurant, everything's disposable and you're supposed to clean your station as you leave, right? Okay, think of Chinook, how they have those cleaners that do the cleaning. They should have a tip jar because they do so much work. You bring the stuff to them, they fucking clean it all. They should, because they have to work really hard for it, right?
But they're employed to do it.
Yeah, but they probably make shitty money, and it as a thank you,
Okay.
right?
What about those over-the-counter food, like say in bubble tea shops, Gongcha, or like in Starbucks?
So those, that's what I'm talking, where they have to make something from scratch, right? They actually have to put effort in. It takes skill.
Like in food market, different food
Yes,
stores.
it takes skill.
So you have to tip for each store,
I do.
but you don't get the service. Like
I
putting the
do.
plate
They
in.
made the food.
Yeah, that's part of their salary already.
You don't understand.
I don't.
Look, they are legitimately doing something from scratch. It would be like if someone carved you a statue out of a piece of wood, right? It's showing your appreciation and a monetary value, right? Yes, they're being paid by whoever to do that, right? That's their job, but appreciation for them doing the job is why I tip. My
well,
appreciation.
What's the difference in fast food? They're also doing it.
Not really, no. Right, because they just, that's more of like a reheat thing, and they take the money and do this.
Okay.
For like, you know, McDonald's, all those ones that are like that, right? I do say thank you and stuff like that, but there's no real effort to it. You know, it's not that it's easy, because a lot of those jobs can be quite difficult. It's that the skill level is low. That's why you see a lot of teens and stuff, like it's a lot of people's first jobs, because the training for it is very fast, very easy, you know. It's not like the guy making
what about in food trucks?
Again, that is people legitimately making and slaving over your food. Some of those people get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to start their day. to prep all whatever they have to make for you, right? Think about this, the handmade lemonade. To get the balance between how much lemon and water and stuff and sugar and all that, right? And to be able to do that consistently and provide that, right? It's not a factory. Someone does that, right? And they can't half-ass it, because anytime they half-ass it or whatever, that could be their entire business down the drain.
Okay.
Right? So that's where your appreciation comes in, right? Because they have to. They constantly have to work hard. They
So
just have to put it in.
What place you don't tip, except for fast food?
A hotel, as a general rule, I don't tip. Like, I will, like a busboy or a waiter, those kinds of things, for like if they help me with my bags, those kinds of things. But like the hotel, to stay there, I won't tip for that. Right? You know.
Do they ask for tip?
No, but I wouldn't anyway. Like, if that was a thing, because it's like I'm already paying for the privilege of being here, right? I will tip individual staff members, but not like a business as a whole.
Okay. What about barbershops?
Yes.
How much do you tip?
So that's like, because you have to trust someone to do up your hair the way you want, and it's a very much you got to have an eye to be able to cut hair, right? Because everybody's different, right? So if I look good when I'm done, then I start at 20%, right? You know.
At what point you tip lower than 20%?
If it was terrible, if it was bad, right? Because they should know it's bad.
In food.
If the food is bad but the service is good, I still tip, right? But I may drop it down a couple of points, right? If the service is bad and the food is bad, I don't tip, right?
Really? You always tip?
But we haven't gone anywhere that we've had really bad food and or service, right? Yeah. Like even that place we went to where our waiter was terrible, our service was great. We just didn't have a server, right? And I loathed to tip him, but I couldn't not tip because the food was amazing and the service we got was amazing. The owners of the place came over and talked to us at our table and was all like, "How's it going? You enjoying the food? This is our chef, blah, 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 blah," right? They didn't have to do any of that. They just did, right? So it was great.
Yeah.
But they also recognized like that our server wasn't whatever, and you know. So to me, I am tipping that whole experience, not to say that waiter did a good job.
Okay.
Right? And I'm in my head, I hope that they do tip pooling.
You're tipping based on overall experience and not
well, for that one or for the
already.
server. Sometimes it's for the server, like, because there have been times I've gone out and had a really bad food, like just terrible, but the waitress or waiter bent over backwards to make it better, right? Now she shouldn't have to suffer because the kitchen fucked up, or the kitchen shouldn't have to suffer because the waitress fucked up, or the waiter, right?
Yeah.
So I try to balance that out.
Okay.
Right?
So what don't people know about tipping? Where does the tips go?
So this is where it gets greasy, okay? Because some places, and I even know it's illegal, they will take a percentage of the tips for the house, which is totally illegal, but they do it anyway.
When you say for the house, what does it mean?
For the restaurant, right? They say it's for like the kitchen staff or whatever. It's not. It's called tipping out. They'll keep it for themselves because their waste product was too high or whatever. It's totally illegal to do that.
Okay.
But they do it anyway. Most of the tips, now it depends on the place. Some places pool tips and everybody gets an equal share.
Including the kitchen?
Yes.
Okay.
Some do it as just the waitresses or waiters. They tip together, right? And then the kitchen staff doesn't get anything. But typically what they do is the waitresses give a percentage to the kitchen.
It depends on the waiters how much they give to the kitchen?
No, it's set by the restaurant, say it's like 10 or 15%, right? They just say,
okay,
right? And then that all goes, and then they get that every couple of weeks.
Okay. So rule of thumb, always tip.
Always, yeah.
everywhere you go, not just in Canada?
Yeah.
Even in Asia?
I fucking rights I will.
Well, we don't tip there.
Don't give a shit. If I put money on the table and someone takes it, that's not my fucking problem, right?
Okay.
If they're like, excuse me, you left your money here, it's like, that ain't mine. All right?
Okay.
This is a hill I'll die on. I've been to lots of places that are like, ooh, gratuities included. Like, this is one of those ones. There are some restaurants that do that, like gratuities already in the price of the food.
Okay, so when the gratuity is already in the price of the food,
I try to leave cash on the table.
do you still tip?
Yes.
Why? If there's already a gratuity, like
Because that was some arbitrary number someone else thought up.
mm-hmm.
That doesn't fucking mean anything to me.
So
That's
you
not
give
how I feel.
a top up for that?
Yes. It's not
You're
a
so
top
generous.
up. It's not about being generous. It's how I'm showing my appreciation.
It's already in the gratuity.
Yeah, that's an implied. That's just them saying they have to work harder, so they should get paid a little more. That's how I see it, right? Okay, yeah, they should be paid more because they do have to work harder. But here's the thing. I can still fucking give them money. Just like when we went out to dinner and all those 8 people, I still tipped, even though gratuity was in there. But I looked at the gratuity that was in there because it was like $400 meal.
Usually the gratuity is 18%.
Well, the gratuity there was probably about 9%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like so it was a $400 bill and the tip was like $28. Do you know what it was when I tipped 20%? The tip was like $89 or something like that, or $90, right? Versus the 20 they were getting. Rounds that out to 100. Perfect, as far as I'm considered.
So you also tip in a buffet restaurant?
Yes.
Why would you tip in a buffet restaurant? You get your own food in the buffet.
They clean my dishes. They go out of their way to get you spoons every fucking time, right? The drinks are always on time. The table is always clean. They always come up and go, sorry, it took so long, blah, blah, blah. And they really take even when it's like fucking super busy and you can tell they're frazzled and you can see the sweat running down because they've been humping ass, right? You see them, once or twice, but you don't see all the other stuff that they're doing, right? Appreciation.
Okay.
Right? Also, I worked in the service industry. I know how hard it is. I know what they go through. Think of the people that just like fucking fuck everything on the table and it's not neat and they're just pigs about it. They clean that up, right? And they touch my stuff. It's been in my mouth. I should be thankful, right?
Okay. What if people don't want to tip? When they go out, they don't want to tip.
What the fuck's wrong with them? That's just being rude. And it's like, well, I can't afford to tip. Then don't fucking go out. Right?
You should just stay home.
Yeah.
What about delivery orders, food? Like skip
Okay,
the dishes.
so this one gets me because if there's a delivery fee, that is typically paid to the driver, right? So for that one, there's usually like ranges of tipping, but they fall outside of what I think would be appropriate for that because I'm already paying him for a very specific service. It's not like I'm paying a company for food and then she's doing a service beyond that. I'm legitimately only paying him for a service. So the gratuity should fall into what I think it does.
Okay.
Not a preset like Skip the Dishes does.
Okay,
right?
so I don't understand. Skip the dishes. How much do you tip to skip the dishes, the delivery driver?
I try to tip as little as possible because I'm already paying for the service.
So the delivery fee is what you're already paying, and the tip above it is what?
That's like paying twice.
Okay.
Right? It's legitimately paying twice because you've already paid him to do the job.
How much do you give for tip?
For that one, I think the lowest you can go is 15%.
There's 10.
Is there? Then it's 10%.
You give the lowest tip?
Yeah. I told you I'm
Because
already
they already
paying for
have
the
a
service.
delivery tip?
I have
delivery
already
fee?
paid them. It's paying them twice to do the same job.
Okay.
Right? Now, if the restaurant waives the delivery fee, typically what that means is either they pay it or the company waives it, so the driver does it at a discount. So I always tip 20% on that.
Okay.
Right.
If there is no
Delivery fee.
no delivery.
Because the delivery fee is paid to the driver. Right?
What if it's winter, there was snowstorm, and you
Yeah,
ordered
so it's
through-
extra. So stuff like that, if it's really busy, but you can, and it's just terrible out, then I pay extra because I don't think he's getting paid enough.
Okay, so
Right.
you pay 20% tip.
It depends on what we order, because you got to remember, you got to look at it and go, okay, so like if it's this neighborhood, right, he has to drive from these points to these points, what do I consider to be? So it changes based off of the weather conditions, right? Because their delivery fee standard across the board, right? But the weather, I change that to match.
Okay.
She's caught up again. Stop getting caught up.
I think that's everything we have to talk about tip.
Stay.
got stuck.
Stay. You're stuck.
So, overall, tipping means thank you for the service. So, it's very important in Canadian culture because
I don't know if it's in Canadian culture.
Or
It's
Western.
important to me.
The rule of thumb, if you can't afford to pay tip and you want to go eat out, then don't eat outside. Just stay at home because it's considered rude.
It is rude.